aka our consciousness, create our frequency, which is our emotions, and our frequency shapes our actions, which create our results. And so if you've been following create your own reality school of thoughts, or even spiritual quantum school of thoughts, you might have heard or read people talk about raising your frequency, raising your vibration. It's all about raising your vibration, having a high vibration. And this isn't new. It reminds me of Rastafari. We've heard of them talking about high vibrations for a very, very long time. And so why is having a high vibration so important? What does that even mean? Well, everything that exists is created via a vibration. Well, how do I raise my vibration? What is the vehicle that determines whether my vibration is high, medium, or low? The vehicle to navigate or determine your vibration is your consciousness, your conscious focus. What does that mean? It means your thoughts. What you're thinking creates a frequency within you. What is a frequency? A frequency is an emotion. An emotion is a vibration. And so if I think of a thought that is of low frequency, then I will be feeling a lower vibration. Why does that matter? Because then the actions that I take are going to be influenced from that lower vibration. And then the results that I get are going to be a reflection of that frequency and the thoughts that I was focusing on. So it's so awesome to me that while I have been studying this stuff for 20 plus years, that I have finally found a way to distill it into a very simple way to understand. But I also like to bring myself back to these bigger concepts to remind people this is what I'm talking about. When I talk about thoughts, feelings, and actions, I'm talking about consciousness and frequency and creating your own reality. So one of the reasons why I'm so inspired, devoted to this experience is because when I first learned that we have the ability to create our own reality via the way we think and feel and what we do, I felt free. And before that, I felt oppressed. I felt stuck. I felt powerless. And I remember the moment that I started learning these things, I told myself before I even tried to put these principles into action, I told myself, if these things really work, if I can truly bring anything that I want into my reality via what I think and how I feel, I am going to teach this to as many different people as I can, because there are so many other people out there that feel the way that I felt, stuck, powerless. And I thought, if this works, I'm going to be teaching as many people as I can. Most people just stay in mediocrity and powerlessness because they unconsciously lend their energy to fear, doubt, guilt, and other people's expectation. They're reacting to what they're seeing in the world instead of creating their experience and their reality on purpose. And especially nowadays with so many things going on, people are trying to do the right thing and be a good person, but in the process they lose touch with what's truly true for them in their heart and soul. This is a survival mechanism. This is fawning. This is people pleasing. So of course everyone wants to be a good person and do the right thing, but there are images being directed to us on purpose to get us into a state of fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, survival mode, shock, So that way we lose our executive functioning. And when we lose our executive functioning, we don't have the prefrontal cortex, we don't have the brain space to access what is true for us. We need to recognize when we're feeding into these experiences that are being given to us, these images that are being shown to us. We need to recognize that when we see those images, we go into a state of survival naturally. That's why they're being shown to us on purpose. So that way we go into the state of fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. When we learn how to identify that we're in a survival mode and we're giving away literally our power, we're giving away our consciousness, we're giving away our energy, we're giving away our decision-making ability, and then we're just following the crowd, following the leader, following whatever it is that we could, or reacting to it out of fight or flight, then we are still not in our executive functioning. So while it might feel better to fight instead of just lay down and take it for some people, unless you decide from your full executive functioning that to fight is what is true for your heart and soul, and it is a response to what is happening, knowing that you're going to get specific results. If you are just fighting out of reaction, you still could be giving away your power. And so I developed a process called Stop, Drop, Create, Coherence, which helps people identify when they're in a survival state, fight, flight, fawn, and freeze. And not only identify, but then on purpose, bring their human technology back into a state of coherence, bring their human technology back into their highest functioning ability, so that way they can decide from that place of full agency, what do I want to think about what I'm seeing? What do I want to feel about what I'm seeing? And what do I want to do about what I'm seeing? Because all of those things put together is going to equal what I get. And when this practice is fully integrated and understood, what we see coming at us on the outside level has less dramatic effect on us because we don't feel powerless anymore. The level of shock diminishes greatly. The level of coherence, alignment, ability, agency goes up dramatically. And so Stop, Drop, Create, Coherence is one of the first things that I teach my clients because it's foundation to creating your reality. You cannot create the reality that is true for your heart and soul if you're in a state of survival, and that's how they get us. So I always teach my clients first and foremost, Stop, Drop, and Create Coherence. And if you're interested in learning more about that, check out some of my other posts or go to my website, go to my link in bio. I have a 4-week video series where I teach and guide people through exercises to help bring your nervous system, your brain, your heart back into coherence. So that way, anytime you identify you're in a state of survival, fight, flight, fawn, and freeze, that you can deliberately come back into your full executive functioning. So that way you have the decision-making power that you want to proceed in the way that you truly want. And you are not being controlled. You are being the executor of your decisions. So if that's something that you want to experience, go to my link in bio. I highly suggest that you try it. You can't go wrong with learning how to get yourself back into a state of coherence. Beyond Stop, Drop, and Create Coherence, it's, in my opinion, time for us to not be lazy about what we're thinking. When I say it's time for us not to be lazy, a lot of people might feel some kind of reaction towards that, thinking well, I'm already doing everything I can. But are you doing it from a place of coherence? Are you doing it from a place of purpose? I am responding in this way on purpose. It feels good. I know what results I'm getting, and I am happy with that. If you are living in a world in which everything is going the way that you want it to, and you are co-creating with your environment in a way where you feel extremely good about everything that's going on, keep doing that. But if you're feeling like you're settling, if you're feeling like powerless, then ask yourself, am I truly putting in the thought work? Going back to the basis of, we are all creating our reality whether we know it or not. We're all creating our reality whether we like to admit that or not. Because reality is created via consciousness and frequency. And so what we are focusing on with our consciousness and what we are vibrating via our emotions is causing us to show up in our lives in that frequency, and we are getting those results. So thought work, knowing how to not only identify and create identify when you're in fight, flight, fawn, or freeze, create coherence on purpose. The next step is to start identifying, what am I thinking about the situation? And we have 60,000 thoughts plus per day. And so it's not always the easiest to stop and think about what you're thinking. And that's something that the prefrontal cortex gives you the ability to do. If your prefrontal cortex is on and fully functioning, you do have the ability to think about what you're thinking, to have that level of self-reflection. If you don't have that, then you're definitely in a state of reactivity, and you might not be acting from a place of full power and agency. So having a consistent space to look at, this is the way that I've been feeling lately. And having someone like a coach, a community, reflect back to you. Well, if that's the way that you've been feeling, one, is that the way you want to be feeling? Because if it is, we don't need to talk about it. But if it's not, then we can take it slow, get your prefrontal cortex online and start to reflect, what thoughts are causing me to feel the way that I'm feeling lately? What have I been focusing on with my consciousness that has been causing me to feel this way lately? That is one of the benefits of working with a coach. Another layer of that is, how do I even know what I'm feeling? Sometimes when you ask people, what are you feeling? They don't know. That's a process of learning as well. Learning how to identify and name what you're feeling. Learning how to identify and name what you want to be feeling. A lot of people just give up. They don't think that they can feel what they want to feel. They feel powerlessness. They create on default. And so they're just going through life thinking that this is the best that they can get, especially with the images and the evidence that is being deliberately created to get us to resign in this way. So another level of self-awareness is learning, how do I feel? What's the name of that feeling? How do I want to feel? What's the name of that feeling? Another level is identifying the possibility of who you want to be when you have the results that you want. So if I want to create some type of community interaction, I'm going to need to be a certain person, a version of myself within that experience. And I will have to contemplate and focus on that version of me until it becomes crystallized. And all of a sudden, I am showing up in this way. I am taking aligned action after aligned action after aligned action. And now I'm starting to see the results of all the work that I've been putting in. All of these things together are benefits of having a coach listen to you, ask you reflective questions so you can hear yourself come to this awareness of what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing. In my Level Up Mastermind, which is what is currently enrolling, I am fully booked one-on-one. So I am inviting people to come into the Level Up Mastermind with me. And the Level Up Mastermind is a group coaching space where we do all of the work that I have been talking about so far. We stop, drop, create coherence. We ask ourselves what results we're wanting. We ask ourselves what results we're currently getting. If that's not what they are, we problem solve, we troubleshoot to get your thoughts, feelings, and actions aligned to experience those reactions. And what I've heard from people that are in the group is that this is so beneficial for them, because even knowing these concepts, having a group and a coach helps them stop winging it. They stop feeling like they're doing it alone. There's less of a sense of overwhelm of trying to figure all of this out. They gain structure, they gain clarity, and they gain tools to get tangible results faster than they would expect. And so I've heard and seen clients that didn't even think they had time to come into coaching because they have so much on their plate, or clients that didn't even think that they need more support. They come to calls and they leave transformed every single time. They feel better, they see more clearly, they take aligned actions, and even the most self-aware, high-performing clients find deeper coherence and capacity in the Level Up Mastermind. Because when you regulate your nervous system and you align your frequency, you stop waiting for life to happen to you and you start creating it on purpose. And waiting is postponing your power. Stop settling for mediocrity. Become the creator. Become the change that you want to see in the world right now. If you want to know any more information about the Level Up Mastermind or the Stop, Drop, Create Coherence video series, you're welcome to DM me and ask any of your questions, or check out the links in my bio, because both of those are listed. And I invite you to either start to create coherence on purpose with the Stop, Drop, Create Coherence cohort video series, or join us in the Level Up Mastermind. The Level Up Mastermind lasts for an entire year. Can you imagine who you could become in an entire year if you had a coach and a community helping you tune back into what is true for you in your heart and soul, helping you get back into your agency and your power, knowing how to create as a deliberate creator? You are creating your life anyway. With the Level Up Mastermind, you can create on purpose for an entire year. Get that momentum now. What are you waiting for?